I thought I'd do this video, especially from my last video that people seem to like from my vlog, and that was with life and relationships, and some people seem to like it, so I thought I'd go further in depth. Hopefully my battery will last out, because I'm using my iPhone 7, which is the one with the crappy battery life. Anyway, what the things I'm about to say, there are things that I've personally experienced or seen. Not all people are bad, not all women are bad. So let's get down to it. Now, speaking of from a personal level, for me, in the other video I was talking about being a nice guy, and about how being a nice guy kind of goes against you, and we'll go into depth why. Now, for me, first of all, I was like in school, and even from a young kid, I mean, I wasn't one of the popular kids. I mean, I was small for my age, especially coming from a single parent family, and then not having a lot of money, and then struggling for food and money. So basically, from that point onwards, I always found it kind of like difficult trying to like mix in with the kids, because obviously you had the cool kids that had the confidence and the swagger, and maybe the designer clothes, and obviously I didn't kind of have that, so that always kind of made it kind of like a lot harder for example. And then even as I got older, as like a teenager, and obviously in my like mid-20s, 30s, what you call it, it kind of got worse. So for example, like even to a point now where, you know, like even now I still feel like I don't fit in, because obviously you have to be one of the cool cats, especially like being a teenager. Basically, all the cool kids had like the latest Nike trainers at the time, and obviously if you didn't have the Nike trainers at the time, then you weren't kind of popular. I mean, when I eventually did, obviously people then think, oh, your trainers are cool, but you know. And also my childhood, for example, with me was kind of like, it wasn't kind of great, especially with all I'll say is that with my father, and all I'll say is that he was the typical kind of like bad boy. So from that age, so from seeing that, and then the abusive stuff that I saw that went on, it made me kind of, for example, it made me not want to kind of be kind of way. I mean, obviously some of it naturally was kind of the way. I mean, I always wasn't naturally a nice guy. Some of it, obviously, you may want to say that it was in my DNA, and obviously some of it was the way I was raised. But then I always felt that it always kind of worked against me. Now with women especially, I was always shy, and especially because I said before, some of the stuff to do with my own personal experiences with my father, so I always found it kind of like difficult. And then I was always shy, and I even had a speech impediment. So and again, you don't have the clothes, you don't look like you had money, so you always were invisible to people, or invisible to women. And then and then we go to where we are now, where for me is that when it comes to being like a nice guy, when it comes to the women, it really kind of doesn't work, and I'll explain why. For me, as far as I see it, and maybe people may think I'm wrong, but again, this is my personal experience. Women seem to love the bad guys. Now, my take on it is because I think it's because they see them as being more confident, more adventurous, more dangerous, more alluring. And then when you've kind of got like the good guy, the perception of us is that we're just boring. You know, you kind of got nothing to offer. And I think also with the bad boy, especially with them being confident, and obviously some of it I do think is sexual as well. That's why I think women kind of are attracted to that. Now, in the short term, all those things are kind of great for the woman, but in the long term, it always works out badly for the woman. And then what normally happens is they either keep going into that relationship and then they get cheated on, or sometimes it can be abusive. I mean, when they event, and then sometimes it can go so far to the point where they can be abused and beaten up, or when they eventually do leave that relationship, they'll go out with somebody who's exactly the same. Now, where it falls under with the good guy is what I've often noticed is that when you've got the women that go after the bad boys, soon as anything seems to go wrong, they're the first ones that will run straight to you, because they sit there and they're crying their eyes out and it's pouring their heart out. So it seems as if that you're basically doing the job of their spouse or their bad boyfriend. Now, there are some nice guys who sit there and think, oh, now that the woman's come to me now, oh, it's my chance now. And the thing is, no, all they're doing is that they're just using it. I mean, nine cases out of 10, what those same women will do is that they'll just, as I said before, they'll go back to that same kind of guy, or they'll go out of that kind of guy. And then for me, it got to the point where I've heard those same stories so many times, you almost become desensitized to a point where you think, oh, you know what, I just don't kind of care anymore. Also with me, for example, anytime I've noticed or I've been attracted to a girl that's very attractive, again, I don't bother, because you know that they're not going to be interested in you. I mean, one of the first things that they do is that they tend to friend zone you. I mean, you can tell that, and then when they do see kind of like the bad boy guy, you can. I've seen it where they're all excited and they can't wait to speak to that guy, and you can see you get the look in their eyes and the way they just wanted to literally tear the clothes off of that particular guy. And then when you're the nice guy, you already know, for example, that you've got no chance of them. So from my perspective, it's been like, well, why the hell am I going to waste my time with those attractive girls? So people that I know sit there and think, oh, what it is that I don't bother, like you're being negative, or you don't want to see, or you don't want to try. And it's not, and it's not like that. It's that, why waste your energy when you know that somebody's never going to give it the time of day? As I said, I was raised to be a nice guy. I was raised to give everyone a chance and not judge people by how they look, how much they have. You take your time to judge a person, to know what the person is really like. I mean, I've known some women, and even some women, for example, who've been stunning on the outside of it, but as if butter wouldn't melt in their mouth. And then as soon as you sit there and you kind of get to kind of know them in real life, you start to realise that they've got a really kind of nasty side to them, where they're a nasty piece of work. So you can be beautiful on the outside and then horrible in the inside. So it's not always kind of about that. And then I think sometimes the problem, and what makes it difficult being a nice guy, is that you know that you can never ever change. It's like trying to chop off your own limb. You just can't do it. And then it got to a point with me where even some women I've known in the past, they'll say to me, oh, you know, you're such a nice guy. I mean, in the back of your mind, you're rolling your eyes, because you're thinking, oh God, you know what, right, they're not kind of, you know that they're not going to touch you. So it's almost as if women will say, oh, I want a guy to take care of me and be nice and respect me, all this la-di-da. But to me, it always seems like it's always the complete opposite of what they say and to what they actually do. Again, I'm not saying all women are like this. And I can't sit down and say that I'm speaking, for example, for all nice guys, because I mean, it's not my job to do that. But it's incredibly difficult in wanting somebody in this world to, whether it's a woman or even or people, friends, to sit there to even give you a chance. Even friends. I've been judged because I'm not, like, say, exciting, and then you don't look like you've got a lot of money, you ain't got the latest clothes and so forth and so forth. And just because you haven't got these things, people don't want to know you. And again, as I said, people always say, you know, I was always brought up to, you know, to see the best in people. And then now, as I said, as I've got older, you realise that it doesn't work. So it's the point where I'm sick and tired of starting away of being a nice guy, because it just feels like that. Whether it's women, like I've had women, like as I said before in my video, one of my exes said and said it to me that I got something to tell you, because what? She goes, normally I don't go out with guys like you. So I thought she was referring to my colour for a second. And then she said to me, I prefer the bad boys because they're confident and they know what they want. And then, even though I never said anything, I already knew, it was the alarm bell started to ring, that I realised, right, that it wasn't, that relationship was never going to last. And lo and behold, it didn't. And then again, she went after a bad boy. And most of the women that I've kind of maybe dated or liked from afar, they've gone out with the bad boys. So you don't have any chance in kind of going out with a woman. And it's just, sometimes you just want somebody, it's like you're not giving her even a chance to even fail. If you see kind of like where I'm kind of coming from, it's just so difficult. I mean, when I was younger, I would say it was much harder, because obviously you're not as obviously not as experienced as I am now. You know, the life experiences and how you want I'm trying to think of the right words on how you want people to kind of like treat you and stuff. But I don't know, it just, and then especially things like on Valentine's Day, it kind of got really bad, because obviously I don't get that. It's like you don't have no one to come home to, you don't have any cards, and then you're seeing other people, and then you it's almost as if that you can only dream and wish of a life of what kind of would have been. And I know about people, and I know about being told that you're a nice guy. In a way, you should take that as a good compliment, because in a way, it actually kind of still is a good compliment. But the problem is, as I said before, is that they don't want it, and in a way, I can see why they want to go out with the bad guy, because I said the bad boy, because I said before, for confidence, right? But it's just sometimes you just want to be kind of just be given that chance, and you know that they're never going to give it to you, and it's like no matter how much you may want it, you're kind of never going to be given it. So for me, that's why at the age I'm at now, I just kind of just given up. So it's not a fear of rejection, so to speak, but it's just knowing that they never, that the particular person in question, or any person for that matter, is not kind of gonna like it. So I mean, I've had experiences where where I've liked somebody, and then as soon as you find out that the popular guys are after that particular person, they're not. You think, I've got no chance. And then actually one time I actually did, and then I was so shocked that I actually was in with a chance. I actually never did anything, and it wasn't because I didn't want to do something about it. It was just more so because I didn't sit there and think that, for example, that I would have had the chance because I wasn't popular. So it was more of a shock, kind of, like really. But yeah, as I thought, it's like the nice guys. It's like, it feels like to me like we're only there to be taken advantage of, because that's all we're kind of, as I thought, that's all we're kind of good for. And as I said, for me, it was extra difficult fitting in, because obviously now everything is about designer clothes and designer wear, and you have to conform to this and you have to conform to that. And when you don't conform to certain ways that how a person should look, for argument's sake, people for example just aren't going to touch you, right, for argument's sake. So you don't stand a chance. And for me, probably as you can tell, well, maybe I can tell, I mean, if you want to see what I look like, you can easily click the link to go to my Twitter page, so you can see what I look like. I mean, I don't consider myself ugly, and at the same time I don't consider myself being extremely handsome either. So it's not like I can turn and say, oh no, I do. use my looks, or I can use my, like my charm to sit there for somebody to sit to the liking, because again, they have to sit there and give it a chance. And I think too many people, I've had people sit there and be patronised, go, oh, you can get anyone you want, or there's somebody for everybody. And I think sometimes people sit there and live this fantasy of a Hollywood movie where you've got the woman that's going out, that's attractive, surprise, surprise. She's going out with a nasty piece of work, falls in love, meets some other guy who she hates, and then they make the boyfriend that the woman's going out with such a obnoxious that it kind of makes it all right for her to sit there to start going out with the guy that she hates, and then she ends up liking. Or you see some of these movies where the woman's going out with a jock, and then she ends up falling for this nerdy boy, and then ends up living or happy ever after. And then you realise that these are just Hollywood films. That's not the way the world really is. For example, I mean, as I said before, I mean, in an ideal world, being a nice guy, for example, would work in your advantage. I mean, I'm not perfect. I mean, I would consider myself a nice guy, more so a decent guy, and I'm not perfect. For me, I'm always learning. I mean, you're always learning to be a better person every single day, and I've been like that since the day I was born, and I'll be like that until the day I die, where I'm always learning to try to be a better person. But it's kind of really difficult, as I said before, that when you're trying to be like a nice guy, and then, as I said, people not the only way to describe it, as I said before, is that it feels like to women especially, and even people in general, it just feels like that you're just invisible to them, that they just don't notice it. And the thing is, if you're invisible to people, then how are people, for example, going to kind of like noticing, right, for argument's sake? So it kind of makes things, for example, really, really, really kind of difficult, because it's almost as if, as I said before, that if you see somebody that you like, you already know, right, that you already don't have a chance already, because you don't decide that you're a nice guy, and then as soon as they get to know a little bit of you, and then they say, oh, you're a nice guy, the first thing that happens after that is that you get completely friend-zoned. So you kind of like you're basically stuffed for argument's sake. So for me, as I said before, that's why I kind of like I've given up. And as I said, that most of these women that go after the bad boys, they'll go to the nice guys or people like me soon as when things go wrong. I mean, because they want to show the crime, because again, that guy isn't doing his job as a boyfriend. And then as soon as you've done your job, they just completely blow you out again. I mean, it's like, like they don't kind of want to know. And I've had a similar thing happen with friends as well, where it's almost as if that you've got nothing to offer and you've got nothing to bring to the table. And again, when I was a kid, it was the same. It was more. I mean, that was especially prevalent, because obviously you don't have a lot of money and you can't walk around in the latest clothes, and you don't have the bad boy attitude. You don't have the latest video games, etc., etc. So you're already kind of pushed aside as it is already. So you're not popular. And the only way, obviously, that you become popular sometimes is maybe if you become rich or you look like that you've got money, and then maybe you can change that. But as I said, it's just you know what I mean? It's just difficult. As I said, not all women are like that, but it's just so frustrating when all you want is to just be given a chance in life, and then they're not giving you. It's like it kind of would be like you going for a job, and you know that you've got a lot to bring to the table, but then that particular, like some companies can sit there and put you on a trial run to see if you're good enough. It would be like a company not giving you the chance to prove your worth. And if you work out, you work out. If you don't, you don't. And a lot of women, as I said before, right, they don't do that kind of thing. If you kind of see what I mean. And as I said before, oh God, it's raining as it is. Let me put my hoodie on. Well, hopefully this phone's water resistant. But yeah, it's really difficult when you know that deep down inside that a person will never like it. And that's another thing, that when you're a nice guy, I've had some people say to me, oh, you must really hate yourself then. You must really hate yourself and you don't think less of yourself. And and for me, I'm going to sit and be brutally honest. To me, it's simply not true. I like myself. I like the way I am. Yeah, my life isn't perfect and things could be better, but I like the way I am, and I wouldn't change despite my situation with women and friends, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change myself for anybody. So when I hear people say to me, oh, you have to love yourself and you don't like yourself, that's simply not true at all. 100% not true. But as I said, it's very different. It's very different. It's very difficult when, as I said, you're just totally invisible to women. And for me, I've always been like that. I've never been. Yeah, I'll get things and be told like I'm cute, or you're cute, and all this stuff. And then again, you could then take that as being a positive thing, being told that you're cute and stuff. But again, it just simply doesn't work. And again, as I said, you see these same women with the bad boys, and then you can see the look in their eyes where you can clearly see that they're attracted to those kind of guys and they want to be with those kind of guys. And then there's you, but you know that you're never ever gonna be given a chance. And I don't know, as I said before, you just feel like you're just being taken advantage of. And especially with me, with a lot of women that I've been with, that I've known, it's almost like some of the ones I've known, as soon as they sit there and they kind of meet you, it's almost as if that they're disappointed because you're not what they kind of expected. Especially kind of like being black, they expect it to be kind of like this bad boy ghetto guy. I mean, when they read, especially if you're like maybe wearing like a leather jacket or so forth. As soon as they realise that you're not what they want, disappointment. And then what I notice what a lot of women do is that they won't tell you that they're not interested in. They'll do this thing where they kind of politely not be interested in you, so because they don't want to hurt your kind of feelings. So that kind of happens. And again, I don't want to sit there and think that I'm bitter, because I'm not. Because again, this is from personal experience, and then kind of and speaking from the heart and speaking from the truth and what I've seen and experienced, especially when those women go with those kind of guys and then they come running to you. I've even had some of them say things like, "Oh, I wish I had gone out with a guy like you," and then they just don't. I've even had some women, not had some women in that way. I've even known some women who what they do is that they play games with you, so they act like they like you, then they don't, then they do, then they don't, then they do, and then it's just totally on and off. And then even that, it's kind of annoying, and then I'm not gonna, play to those games. So that's why. Even when I've had some women that say to me, oh, you're a good-looking guy. I've had a few women that said that. You then don't believe it, because you think to yourself, well, why should I sit there and believe that when clearly nobody is kind of attracted to me? I've tried asking out women. You ask them for coffee or you ask them for their number. And again, they do this kind of trick where they're kind of not interested in you, but they don't. Again, they don't want to hurt your kind of feelings. And as I said before, all you want in life is that you just want to. I know that with a woman, and even with people, friendships, in this day, whether it's with people, I know that I have got a lot to offer. That I've got a lot to bring to the table. But it's just about being given the chance, which people don't do. And I know, especially in this day and age where now people are now seem to be a lot more angry and frustrated in life, especially with, like, say, what's going on with COVID, or maybe it's health or so forth. It makes things a lot harder. So I understand it, but all you ask for in life is that you just want to be given a chance to prove yourself. And it's not just with relationships, it could be a job, it could be with friendships, it could be with anything in general life, where you just want to sit there and be given a chance. And for me, as I said, I don't know if I mentioned this, for me, I'm a very, very, as I said before, with the stuff I went through in life, and I've always been a very, very, very shy guy. So even for me to sit there to try to make new friendships, or to strike up conversations with people, and with women, and with women especially, I've always found it kind of really difficult. But the thing is in life that no matter how difficult something is, I always try to give it 100%, even when I find something difficult, whether it's been with education, friendships, women. I've always tried, but it feels to a point where I've got to a point now where I feel like that no matter how hard I try, I'm never gonna be able to find that right person. All I'm ever gonna be is, oh, you're such a nice guy. You're such a nice person. You should be proud of who you are. And again, I am proud of who I am. I wouldn't change who I am. But it's just frustrating when you see the bad boys get the women and they're attracted to them, and then and again, as I said in the beginning, I think they just see us nice guys as just being, I think, just boring, and we're too whipped. We're like I think they see us as being a kind of, if you pardon the analogy, we're just a well-trained dog, where you just tell the dog to sit and roll over, and then we just do as we're told. And then so they just see us as just being kind of just boring. And I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not seeing it in that right kind of perspective. But that's kind